Hello and welcome to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi dated 22nd May 2026. Here we have taken up important news article from The Hindu and Indian Express newspaper and have segregated our discussion into two parts, that is analysis and prelims pointer. The first topic in analysis section is related to child marriage in India. Here we will focus upon why despite the efforts of government, child marriage is still prevalent in India. What are the factors, what are the impacts, and what could be the possible way forward? The second news article is related to millet shift in Indian agriculture. Due to the disruptions by Iranian war and abrupt monsoon and erratic monsoon due to the El Nino effect this year, why it is important to shift towards millet production, how it can be a possible safeguard, and how these bottlenecks and disruptions are fueling India's shift towards millet production. Both these discussion will be followed by practice mains question so that you can assess your understanding. The topics for prelims pointer are listed here, which will cover important information from the perspective of UPSC examination. So stay tuned. So the first topic of today's session is related to child marriage in India. And this is related to this news article which published in The Hindu. And it reads as, Lakshmi may have ended up child bride. Now, this news article is basically a case study where they have told that how Asha workers and Anganwadi workers are fighting against the child marriage in the district of Chandauli in eastern Uttar Pradesh. And these Anganwadi and Asha workers are themselves child brides. So they are victim of this child marriage, but they have vowed and they are determined not to let another generation to be forced into the same cycle. Now, in this particular article, there have been instances where they have also raised the question about the efficacy of efforts, and they have also highlighted the major factors behind prevalence of child marriage. But most importantly, the solution. Solution is community-led solution in this Chandauli district, where Asha worker and Anganwadi workers, they are working in tandem with the Gram Pradhan and Sarpanch of the local panchayats, and together with they are bringing in influential people from the society, and they are able to contain the menace of child marriage in this particular district. So it can be a very good case study to quote in your answer, as well as there are points which have been raised which are in line with the concerns or challenges due to which the child marriage is still prevalent in India. From the syllabus perspective, GS paper 1, role of women and women's organization, that is social issues, while GS paper 2, that talks about social justice, mechanism, laws, institution and bodies constituted for the protection and betterment of vulnerable sections and issues therein. So, let us begin the discussion with the status of the child marriage in India. But before that, we need to understand what is child marriage. So child marriage by definition is a marriage which involves a person below the legally prescribed age. And now what is the legal age, legally prescribed age? So different act, different statute, they handle the issue of legal age, like Hindu Marriage Act, Indian Christian Marriage Act, Special Marriage Act, and Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, which pegs the age of marriage at 18 years for women and 21 years for men. Same with the case with PCMA 2006. Now, an amendment is planned in this PCMA Act, and bill was brought in the year 2021-22. But still, it has not been passed or voted upon in the parliament. It is with the Parliamentary Standing Committee to scrutinize, and it aims to bring the age of women at par with the men, that is 21 years. So, that is a bill, still a bill facing the scrutiny of the Parliamentary Committee. So, this is what it is. There are laws, there are statute which are there to prevent the child marriage in India, but still it is prevalent. So UNICEF report, that is a profile of progress in India ending child marriage, it highlights very, you can say, crucial findings. It says that 1 in 3 of the world child bride live in India. 1 in every 3 child is living in India who is like victim of child marriage. Over half of the Indian child brides live in 5 states, namely Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. So these 5 states constitute more than 50% of the child brides. Then 1 in 4 young women in India were married or in union before their 18th birthday. So at global level, 1 in every 3 child bride is Indian. At national level, 1 in every 4 young women, that is, if you will take the average of in the adult age group, that is 21 to 24, there 1 in 4 young women were married like or victim of child marriage. Now, the prevalence of child marriage varies across states and union territories. As you have seen that more than 50% they are saturated in 5 states. 40% of young women were married before turning 18 in Bihar and West Bengal. So, out of these 5 states, the situation is crucial or critical in the state of Bihar and West Bengal especially. Now, apart from that, as you have seen, the 5 states, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh, they constitute more than 50% of child marriage. There are surveys, that is National Family Health Surveys, which gives a positive, you can say, finding. So, according to NFHS round, if you will consider the period from 1990 to 1993, where 54% of women or female were found the victim of child marriage, that is married before age of 18. It has gone down to 23% in the year 2019-2021. And now government is targeting to achieve zero child marriage by the year 2030. But this is still, you can say, a distant dream, because NCRB says, as per the available data, in 2023 itself, there were around 6,000 cases of child marriage under the PCMA Act, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. That is there. So around 6,000 cases were registered, which is 6 times more than the 2021 data, which was around 1,000. So on one side, it is a good thing that more cases are being reported. Other side, it is also a stark reality that child marriages is still prevalent despite having the legal ways and statutes and punishment and different other, which we will see in subsequent slides, the different mechanism that government is bringing up to prevent child marriage, but still it is prevalent. Now, what are the factors which are causing? And here we will cover the factors that have been highlighted in the article also. First is the patriarchal factor that is related to socio-cultural norms. Now, the patriarchal factor is the root cause of all the problem, because here this mindset, it kind of thinks that it has a control over female autonomy, and it looks and perceives female child as a burden and as a dependent entity, rather what should have been an independent agency. They consider them as a dependent agency. Second, it is more related to family honor. So in rural landscape or in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or where this you can say child marriage is prevalent, this is related to the family honor. So general perception is that if you will not get your girl child married early, it may turn into intercaste marriage, interfaith marriage. So to protect the family honor, that is you can say an outcome of patriarchy, the child marriages is still prevalent. Then The caste and community pressure. So again, what we were talking about, that if you will not do it at early stages, they may end up getting into love marriage and intercaste marriage, interfaith marriage. So it is a peer pressure also. So caste and community pressure is also there, that why you are not getting your girl child married at the you can say as early as possible. Then there are some traditional customs and social acceptance which perpetuate this. So it is complete, it has become a norm, it has been normalized, and it is more associated with traditional and customary autonomy. So they take pride in it to preserve their custom and culture. So any interference, these communities, they don't like, and they don't want to adhere to any new thought which they term as outcrops of modernization. Then there are social understanding or social preference of early childbearing in girl child, because early bearing of child is considered good, so that you can engage yourself, so that you can also invest your time in the household course. So because this girl child is being seen as someone who will take care of family and household, so getting married early, getting childbirth early, so that they can invest more time in the care, upbringing of child and taking care of the household. So these were the socio-cultural factors. Now comes the second and most important factor, is the economic vulnerability and poverty, which has been highlighted in the article also, because in various instances article has highlighted that people are going for the child marriage because they cannot bear the expenses of girl child. So there are examples of families which migrated to cities like Mumbai, Delhi for the daily wage work in order to earn more, to increase their income. But due to the poor standard of life and the safety issues in these metro cities, they came back to their native place, and the only option that they are left with, getting their girl child married as early as possible. So this becomes the very important factor which kind of this distress disincentivize any further investment into education of the girl child or career of the girl child. So as early as possible, parents prefer to get their girls married. And NFHS 5 highlights this also, that 40% of girls who were victim of child marriage belong to the poorest wealth quintile, and only around 8% were there who belong to richest household. So data also backs this idea that yes, economic reason is one of the biggest reason which is perpetuating or contributing towards the continuity of this child marriage. Then the educational deprivation. Now you can say it is an outcrop of economic deprivation. Yes, it is, but again it becomes cause of the child marriage, because if a girl child where a family is unable to invest into education, now girl child doing household chore is considered as a burden, because there is no career option, there is no career progression. So what is left for the parents is to get her married as early as possible, so that at early stages of marriage the dowry proposition is lower. So they want to get rid of that burden as early as possible. And this lack of education also affects the individual. So due to this lack of education, parents are not aware about the ill effects of getting their child married early. The victim themselves are not aware about the ill effects of getting married early in most of the cases. And in absence of any avenue, they are left with no other option. And again, NFHS highlights that 48% of women with no schooling were married before 18, where only 4% with higher education, they were victim of child marriage. So again, education plays a role. It is not just an outcome, but it becomes a cause of prevalence of child marriage. Next is the entrenched or you can say the deep entrenched gender inequality in our society and associated safety concern. So in general, the families, they kind of practice discrimination between male and female child, and in terms of clothing, in terms of food, in terms of education, in terms of sports, everywhere discrimination is there. So this lower investment in health, nutrition, everything kind of takes away the advantage that a girl child can get or can harness once she is getting equal opportunity in terms of education, health and nutrition. So again, you are depriving someone and taking away their opportunity to do something else rather than getting married. Second thing, the safety concern, which is not, you can say, which is not a concern that has been raised by family, but because of the society. So in order to protect that family honor that we covered in the first topic itself, this early marriage is considered as a safeguard against such dishonor. So in order to protect girl child from harassment, or you can say kidnapping, which is also a reality, trafficking, which is also a reality. So all these things, in order to avoid, it is considered, which is a wrong notion. It is considered that marriage is the safest option and the best option which will protect the girl child. So marriage is being seen as a methodology, or you can say a tool to protect, to hedge a girl child against the societal oppression or the ill practices of the society. Now, there are there are, you can say, provisions in place like Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, POXO Act. But again, lower reporting rate, weak conviction rate, poor birth registration systems are some of the reason why these enforcements are still providing the gap, or you can say void, which are being exploited by those who are still practicing child marriage. Again, we will refer to the article where it has been recorded that many a times the sarpanch or the panchayat heads, they are getting request of change in the age of the age in the Aadhaar card, or there are requests to change the birth certificate, date in the birth certificate. Additionally, Child Welfare Committee, as has been mandated by the Women and Child Ministry, Welfare Ministry, this Child Welfare Committee is dysfunctional in most of the villages or district or at state level. Or even if they are there, then they are practically, you can say, not doing anything which is very prudent or very efficient. But in this case, this Chandauli village, there are child welfare committee where members have been included from the community, including the children, who can inform about any attempt of child marriage in their vicinity or in their knowledge. So wherever these things are functional, they are doing well. But in the as the case with the most of the thing in India, there are loopholes and there are laggings. Lastly, there are still regional and social disparities because of all these reasons: the patriarchal factor, poverty, educational gap, security concern, safety concern. It affects the vulnerable section most, and vulnerable section include women, children, marginalized community, and those with the special abilities. So again, here SC/ST communities, rural population and economically backward region, they constitute majority of the child marriage cases. And NFHS 5 highlights that 26% of women in SC/ST communities were married below the legal age. So this is a culmination of all these factors. Let us discuss what are the impacts. So the first impact is educational deprivation. Again, kind of a feedback loop where perpetual cycle of poverty will be continued, as has been mentioned in the third point itself. So 20%, less than 20% of married girls have continued their education. So basically they were deprived of the education before the marriage, and only 20%, less than 20% of women, they have continued their education after the marriage. Most of them are busy in the household chores and the familial duties. Now again, the violation of the child right itself, because it exposes children, this child marriage, it exposes children, especially girls, to violence, abuse, exploitation and domestic coercion. So this is another issue. Then childbirth, early childbirth, it affects the maternal health of the women and children adversely. So mortality, anemia, low weight, stunting, undernutrition among mothers as well as in children are have been recorded, and that is the major concern, that contrary to the perception that early childbearing is good, childbearing below the age of 18 is proving unproductive or counterproductive for both mother and the children. Then this early child marriage, child marriage, is also giving impetus to the population growth, because high fertility rates are registered in cases of the child marriage. Now, once you have got your girl child married at the age below 18, you are restricting the mobility and agency. So whatever she could have done with the education, with the exposure, they face limitation in terms of movement, communication and decision making, because at a very nascent age, when they could have learned so many things, they could have experienced so many things, they are just put into the household chores, and all the accessibility has been removed, or if not removed, they don't have any time to upgrade, or you can say equip themselves with the knowledge or the skill set that can help them build their career. Now most of the time, in cases of child marriage, it leads to social isolation, because these interaction and community living gets very limited, and mostly what we discuss, that they are considered as dependent on the husband. It becomes a reality. Their role gets limited to household chores and childbearing, and ultimately they turn into a dependent on the husband or the marital household, and this kind of creates an isolation for a child who is less than 18 year and now has moved to another home. And this again, which we have discussed, now there, just imagine as a child, when you are living in your home, you have all the freedom to watch TV, to listen to song, to watch movies, to play games on your mobile or tablets. Once you get married, you are going to new home, and we are talking about an individual who is less than 18 years of age. Now these restriction will definitely adversely affect their overall growth and their overall prospect. Now this child marriage, it generally it reinforces the patriarchal norms, and again this cycle perpetuates, and one become example for another, and this tradition and cultural norms, they get more impetus, or you can say they get reinforced, and person who are practicing these things, they get emboldened by by normalization of these effects. So these are the impact of the child marriage in India. As we were discussing, Government of India has taken several steps like PCMA Act, POXO Act, Juvenile Justice, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat campaign, which aims to make India child marriage free by 2030. Mission Shakti is there, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana is there, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya to promote the education in children so they can delay the marriage. National scheme of incentive to girl for secondary education. There is an helpline, that is Childline 1098, plus digital record or digital birth registration and marriage registration efforts which are being made to streamline and to track anything which is related to child marriage. But several other things needs to be done. First is the legal enforcement need to be strengthened. It should not be the paper tiger, but it should be a real time tracking, and action should be taken for the accused or those who are violating the act or violating the statute. Appointment of child marriage prohibition officers should be taken seriously, and they should be monitored. Their work should be monitored in their respective zones or the area of their jurisdiction. Then minimum marriage age should be uniform around different religion and communities so that gender equality should be achieved. And raising the age to 21 was a well thought of idea but is still pending. Then girls education should be expanded so that they can have avenue to delay the marriage, so that they can have avenue to have career choices. Plus economic empowerment of girls through skill development and scholarship and conditional cash transfer is also very important step which should be elaborated or expanded. Then women's safety should be ensured, and their mobility should be ensured so that it should not become a cause or a reason that why they are getting their girl child married. So this is the duty of government and the local administration to ensure that their movement and their career option, their education go disruption free. Then high prevalence districts should be targeted primarily and on a priority basis. Then community awareness and campaigns like in this case in Uttar Pradesh, Chandauli district, where community efforts are being taken up. Frontline stakeholders should be trained, but importantly in this article one thing more has been highlighted. These Anganwadi workers and Asha workers are being paid very low amount of salary or remuneration, and despite this low amount they are trying their best to perform their duties. So government can incentivize them so that these frontline worker can take up their task more seriously and more you can say in a connected manner, where they are they have enthusiasm about their task and work. Then birth and marriage registration system should be improved and should be made mandatory, the digital recording. Civil society participation and data collection is important so that evidence-based policy making can be concluded and can be done. Based on this discussion, this is your practice question, that child marriage in India is not merely a legal issue, but a manifestation of deep-rooted socio-economic and patriarchal structure. Examine. 250 word, 15 marker question, try to attempt it. Now the next news article talks about how disruptions created by Iran war and the predictable or the predicted less than normal monsoon this year is fueling India's millet shift. This article discusses that how it is fueling millet shift. Plus, it also gives an argument in favor of that why we should be shifting towards millets production. So, important from the perspective of GS paper 3 agriculture and cropping pattern. Important from the perspective of UPSC, as UPSC has asked question based on the millet production. You can see here how has the emphasis on certain crops brought about changes in cropping pattern in recent past. Elaborate the emphasis on millet production and consumption. So we'll be taking up this discussion, focusing on what our article has highlighted, and then we will move on to how this shift towards millet can help agriculturists and agrarian community in India to mitigate or to have a safeguard against the adverse effect of this choking of supply due to Iranian war and this unpredictable and erratic monsoon, mainly which has been accentuated due to the prediction of El Nino this year and below normal monsoon this year. So first thing that this article highlights through a case study, that what are the reasons why farmers are shifting towards millet. So first reason that they have given is related to the pest, that is Gulabi Sunde or the pink bollworm. And they have taken example of a farmer who is shifting from cotton to bajra. So according to this report, earlier yields were 10 to 12 quintal per acre, which has dropped to roughly 2.5 quintal per acre due to this pesticide. The second reason is non-availability of labor, which is increasing the input cost. Third and most importantly is the input crunch. So the crops like cotton, they require huge amount of, which is written here, like how many bags of superphosphate is required, how many kgs of muriate of potash is required, diammonium phosphate, that is DAP, is required, multiple insecticide sprays are required. But when you will compare it with the bajra, what it becomes less than half. Plus additionally, in terms of cotton, where you require at least 5 to 7 cycle of irrigation, in terms of bajra you only require 1 to 2 cycle of irrigation. Then the major reason which is associated with this, because you have seen the difference between what is required for cotton, crop like cotton, and what is required for bajra. So just for the for your reference, where 50 kg bag, 250 kg per, we are talking in terms of per acre. So in every acre, 250 kg, that is 100 kg of SSP is required, where plus half a bag of 10 kg of MOP is required, 45 kg of urea is required, that is 2 bags, DAP is required, more irrigation is required, insecticides are required multiple times. Here in bajra, only 2 bags of SSP, that is 10 kg, 2 urea bags, 80 gram spray of insecticide, and that's all. So that is why they are shifting towards it. And now how Iranian war is fueling, because you can see here consumption is rising day by day. So if you will see the case of urea from 2016-17, just 9 years, it is 396.38 lakh ton. So almost 100 lakh ton have been increased. Same is the case with DAP, NPK, SSP. Only this potash, you can see there is a decline in the use. Other than that, everything is the requirement or the demand is very high. And who is supplying this? Gulf countries through the crude petroleum, which becomes the basic ingredient of this fertilizer industry or pesticide industry. Now there the choke point creates the hurdle. Demand is rising, supply is disrupted, now cost is going up, and that is why farmers are shifting away from these cash crops or the conventional crops. Another factor which has been highlighted, that bajra gives the flexibility. So what is happening here? Farmers are sowing the bajra in mid-June, and it is taking roughly 3 months of time, 130 to 140 days. So they can sow the Rabi crop, that is winter crop, in the month of October. So just after the bajra, they can sow Rabi crop in October, which they can harvest in mid-April. So from April to June, they can harvest another crop, that is Zayed crop, where they are sowing moong pulse. But in case of cotton, what is happening? They can sow cotton late, once the rainfall has arrived. It takes longer time, pushing the sowing of wheat in November. Now wheat will take its own sweet time, and again May, June will come where they can harvest wheat. So wheat, if you are going with cotton and wheat, it is not providing time for third crop. So only two crops can be harvested, that too with the lower yield. So that is why these things have been highlighted in the article itself, why these factors are fueling millet shift. But apart from this, millets have other benefits also. Recently, Government of India is pushing towards it. India is the largest producer of millets in the world, and in that, bajra is the it is being sown in the highest quantity. It is a small grain, drought-resistant seeded grasses. These are major types include the common name jowar, bajra, ragi. Small millets include foxtail, kodo, little, barnyard, proso, and brown top. They are mostly kharif crops and cultivated in rain-fed marginal areas because these are hardy crops. Importantly, they have brought in good amount of foreign exchange due to their rise in export in the year 2024-25, around 37 million. And Rajasthan tops the production of the millets in India. And as I have told you, bajra is the most cultivated millet among all of them, followed by jowar, ragi, and small millets. So what is the significance? The first thing that you have just read in the news, that it requires less amount of irrigation. So it is very suitable for the dryland agriculture. It is tolerant of drought, heat, and poor soil. Requires very less amount of water. And India, where 55% of land is earmarked as suitable for dryland agriculture, millets are acting as a, you can say, natural choice for the farmers. Second, they have health and nutritional significance. Lower glycemic index is there, which is index of calculating how intake of food is affecting the glucose sugar production in your body. So it is helpful in the control of diabetes, which is now a major concern in Indian household. Then it has a good fiber content, which is good for the gut health. Next, it has huge source of iron and zinc, which is very helpful in combating anemia, especially among women. Then it is having calcium, especially ragi. Then it is gluten free. What is gluten? The dough that you create, wheat dough that you create for the chapati or the bread that you are making, or the pizza base you are making. So there is a sticky nature because of this gluten, presence of gluten. So sticky and stretching character that it gives to the dough. It is gluten free and very, very suitable for those who have this gluten intolerance. All in all, it can fight the undernutrition, micronutrient deficiency, and lifestyle disease, which is triple burden, which your wheat and rice, the conventional food crops, or cereals that we are consuming, they lack all of this, especially the minerals. They have negligible minerals when you will compare them with the millets. And as you can see, problem is that it is still limited to some states. So if you will see, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, These are the major producer, while several coastal states like Gujarat, or the dryland farming where the naturally it is suitable, Madhya Pradesh, they are not showing promising trend in the production. So we need to focus on these area which are suitable and where this is a natural choice. This should be the natural choice. More significance lies in the socio-economic factors. So generally, more than 80% of Indian farmers are marginalized. They have small land holdings, less than I guess one hectare, less than 1 hectare is the average land holding. So this particular, and most of them lack mechanization, most of them are dependent on rain fed agriculture, and these millets, they provide the perfect answer for their you can say requirements, and it can help the marginal communities or the marginal farmers or the small farmers in the tribal area or marginal area, and it can give them higher returns with lower input cost. Higher net returns can ensure their nutritional security as well as their livelihood security. Lastly, India as a whole requires a shift towards millets because it can prove itself as a tool for soft power exercise in food system, and because millets are a staple diet for around 60 crore people globally, majorly residing in Asia and Africa. So India can take a lead, and India has done through this International Year of Millet in 2023. And India can replicate such momentum so as to establish itself as a leader in the field of millet production. So you can see here, Government of India is also doing things in a positive direction, where millet procurement has been increasing, millet production has been increasing, but not at a very faster or desirable pace. Now, why it is so? If you can see here, millet production is 18.59 million tons. If you will compare it with rice, which is 150 million ton, wheat 117 million ton, more than 10 around 8 to 9 times of difference is there. First reason is the production constraint. These hardy crops have low productivity due to the lack of penetration of high yielding variety of seed, and because they are being preferred in the rain fed area. Mechanization is low, as we were talking about marginal areas or the marginal farmers, and that affects their productivity. So if you will compare their productivity with rice and wheat, where rice and wheat have a productivity of 3.5 to 4 ton per hectare, the millets have roughly around 1.5 to 1.6 ton per hectare, less than half. So productivity is very low. Plus, MSP coverage is very narrow, mainly limited to jowar, bajra and ragi. Other millets are not included. Second reason is the constraint. So dietary transition, we have been accustomed, we have this habit of having wheat or rice as a staple diet. So this transition, this acceptance is itself a challenge. Second thing, traditionally it has been considered as poor man food. So again, the transition and dietary habit require some campaign, or you can say awareness campaign, to change. Then the processing challenge. So gluten is not there, which is effective for the dove handling. Again, the major industries like biscuit, bread, and other food product, they don't prefer this because this is gluten free, and this sticky and dove handling characteristic is not there. So this is not the preferred choice. Then, as we said, we don't have awareness about their benefit and how to consume them, why to consume them, what are the benefit. Branding is not there, considered as poor man food. So we are not creating the urban demand which can give better remuneration to farmers, and then they are more poised, or you can say incentivized, to take up the millet production. Then There is concern, especially in bajra, the lipase enzymes which break down the food, and this presence of lipase enzyme, if they are not carried in a proper manner, the handling and storage is not done at a proper temperature, they have very poor shelf life. So only few days you are keeping them in an unscientific manner, and the whole crop is destroyed. So again, the handling concern is there. Then there is a policy bias. So basically what is happening, government is pushing, government traditionally has pushed more for the wheat and rice, their production, their consumption, subsidies. So basically, as an individual, everyone is more inclined toward what they have consumed traditionally, plus what they are getting at a cheaper rate. So this has created a demand distortion. So this demand is not created because of the natural choices. This demand has been created because that rice is very cheap. You are getting it for free. That wheat is very cheap. That is not costing you anything. So automatically your demand for wheat and rice is more. So these are the factors why still we are not realizing and we are not achieving the level of millet production that we require and that we need. So government has taken several initiatives like Shri Anna initiative, PLI schemes for food processing, Nutri Cereal initiative is there. They have declared National Year of Millets, submission of millet under Food Security Mission. Then Poshan Abhiyan, it has been integrated. Midday Meal scheme and ICDS scheme, they have included millets. Plus the UN program of International Year, India in partnership with India, UN has declared the year 2023 as a International Year of Millet, just to spread the awareness about the benefits. What else need to be done? First thing, the productivity part, it should be raised. Seed and technology and R&D push should be there. MSP should be expanded. Special agribusiness zones should be created. Potential specific regional clusters should be developed, and focus should be on organic millet farming so that export market could be realized in a better manner. Then procurement and PDS inclusion should be more efficient, should be expanded. Processing infrastructure should be developed, and startups in millet-based food products should be promoted and encouraged. Then for the demand creation, we should have better awareness campaign at all the level for the health benefit and against the lifestyle disease, and how consuming millet can help individual. Plus, we should also be creating products which are ready to cook and ready to eat, especially for the urban areas. Then quality standards, obviously, you have to improve for the global positioning, and health conscious market and big market, US and EU should be trapped. And once you have you will have access to these developed countries, automatically the validation and demand in other parts of the world will increase. Based on this is your practice question that discuss the significance of millets in ensuring nutritional and climate security in India. A 15 marker 250 word question. Try to attempt it. You can also try to attempt this previous year questions. Now the next news article is related to freedom of the press in India. Related to prelims fundamental right and governance issues, where recently in Norway a journalist tried to ask some question to the Prime Minister, and this whole incident created a debate, and several things which were being said and being done are being debated. This article covers all of them and talks about what does this international rankings, how far you can rely on them, why there are objections, what we should learn, and what we should be completely ignoring, or we should be we should be aware about things which are not done in a proper manner or with a proper intention. So what it highlights? It highlights a very important point that World Press Freedom Index, which is published by the Reporters Without Border, and it was first published in 2002. So indicators they used is media independence, journalist safety, legal framework, political pressure, transparency, and censorship. 180 countries are ranked, and Norway has been frequently ranked among the top performers. India's performance is not that good as of now. The ranking is 157 out of 180 countries, and this index is largely based on expert assessment questionnaire and quantitative data on abuses, violence against journalists. Now, this is the basic information, but point is how reliable these rankings are. You have ranked India 157, and this is what this article highlights, that India is far behind Ukraine, Qatar, Burkina Faso, Oman, and Kuwait. And these countries, they don't even have the proper independent democratic setup. Okay, but according to the so-called Freedom Index, they are ranking better than Indian press. So this is the first argument that this article gives, that how you can assess the credibility where countries where they do not even hold a pro forma election, they rank higher on press freedom index. It also highlights a very you can say unfortunate accident where accident or deliberate action by the mainstream media of Norway, where it says that Norway is number one in the ranking because that journalist she started the questionnaire that with this preface that country had the freest press in the world. So Norway is number one. But article says that what ranking does not take into account is the unfiltered racism of an apparently free press, which showed the Prime Minister as a snake charmer. So again, what kind of freedom you are talking about when you are practicing racism openly and showing an Asian Prime Minister, an Indian Prime Minister as a snake charmer, which has been an old trope to depict India. So this is the first point of you can say criticism that has been highlighted. Moving further, they say that you rank India because you always find that there is a confrontation or challenge between media and government or the state. Now this article says that the parameter cannot be understood and cannot be equated in terms of Norway. Just understand this, because Norway is a homogeneous society with 55 lakh of population. 95% of this population speaks Norwegian, single language. 60% are affiliated to church. So, a dominant religion, a dominant language, and 55 lakh of population. But if you will compare it with country like India, where there are several religions, lakhs of languages, different culture, different aspirations, different demands. So this article says that the contensation or the confrontation between media and state is a medium or a reflection of society. Now, if a society is vibrant and diverse, the demands would be diverse. Confrontation would be more between media and state. More questions will be asked. More doubts will be cleared. More rebuttal will be given. How you can compare it with Norway, where you have a homogeneous society and there is no diverse demand. So again, keep your rank 1 and decide upon the 157th. Then, it also highlighted, this is not a one-sided article, it also highlights some problem with present-day leadership. And it says that there are two extremes, where Mr. Trump, he kind of always tries to give confrontational interviews with an aim to delegitimize the media. So he will confront the media and he will openly say, you are bad, you are poor, you are of no use. On the second extreme, there are leaders like in India, including the opposition leader, which never take question from the media. So kind of one-way communication. So on one extreme, there is a person who is lambasting media. On one end, there are people who don't want to entertain media. This is also a problem. Now, another problem that they suggest, that we cannot be selective in our approach. So in Press Freedom Index, we are accusing that NGO, that organization who brought in Press Freedom Index, that your objectivity, your methodology is not correct. But we are celebrating the ranking in ease of doing business. We are very happy in accepting the national honors. So we cannot have this selective cherry picking, that one report we will praise which is showing good ranking, and where we are getting poor ranking we will say no, this report is false altogether, useless altogether. Now in conclusion, the article says that these ranking they are not completely worthless, they are not very objective, so take them with a pinch of salt. Accept that there are some problems, identify those problems and remove them. Don't take them literally, that everything is falling apart and everything is worst and we are third world countries. No, you don't need to go into that mode. Simply understand that there are few things which we need to improve. We will improve our way possible. So that is the crux of the topic, and important was the Press Freedom Index, which we have covered. Let's move on to the next topic. The next article is related to environment conservation and the drainage system. And as the union government has submitted to Supreme Court that no new dam in Upper Ganga Basin will be required if feasible. So central government, after due deliberation for around 10 years, more than 10 years, these deliberations are going on, and finally has submitted that it is not in favor of any new project in Upper Ganga Basin. Important from the perspective of drainage system. First, have a look at what is the case. So basically all these things started after the Kedarnath disaster of 2013. So where there was a need of rechecking the hydroelectric projects so that to check the vulnerabilities of Himalayan ecosystem, plus the financial viability of these ecosystem, why they are important from the perspective of Uttarakhand government or Uttarakhand state, plus the overall ecology of the Ganga Basin. So these assessments were asked. So there was a committee which was formed under Mr. Ravi Chopra in 2013, which submitted its report, and it highlighted that 23 of the 24 projects which have been which are reviewed, they will harm biodiversity. But this report was strongly contested by Central Electricity Authority and Central Water Commission. They disagreed. A stalemate reached. Again, a new committee was created in the 2015 under BP Das to again analyze the project, because there were several projects, 6 projects there, that they also reached to Supreme Court that we have already got the clearance. Now in the middle of the project you are saying you are harmful for the environment. What should we do? So this stalemate come between the authorities, Central Water Commission, Electricity Authority, private players, those who are building the hydroelectric power plant, and the committee which gave the report. So Supreme Court said, okay, another committee we will form under BP Das, they will submit the report. Again, this committee highlighted that not all projects are viable, but some those who have already invested huge amount in the infrastructure and development, they can continue. But this committee also highlighted that most of the projects are unnecessary and they are going to impact the biodiversity. Again, an stalemate disagreement came in between Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Jal Shakti and Ministry of Power. So again, a committee was constituted with the time like 2024 it was constituted, and finally 5 projects or 6 projects have been identified where a substantial amount of work has been already forwarded or being done. So government has submitted its viewpoint that apart from these 5 projects, those who have invested heavily, those who have already moved ahead with the project, no other new project is favorable in the Ganga Basin. Now, from our perspective, what is required is the river, the upper basin. So, first is the Bhagirathi River, which originates in the Gangotri Glacier, and it flows downwards to meet Alaknanda in Devprayag. Bhagirathi meets Alaknanda at Devprayag, and here onwards it is known as Ganga. While Alaknanda, it originates in Satopnath or Satopanth glacier above Badrinath, meeting Dhauli Ganga and Vishnu Ganga in Vishnu Prayag. It moves forward and then it meets Nandakini in Nandprayag and Pindar river in Karnaprayag. Then at Rudraprayag, it meets Mandakini, and then in Devprayag, it finally meets Bhagirathi and forms the Ganga river. Now, this is the upper reach which was being referred in the news article. But for the overall coverage, we should be covering the important tributaries. Let us start with the left bank tributaries from west to east. In that sequence only. First is Ramganga, second is Gomti, third is Ghagra, then Gandak, then Kosi, and then Mahananda. Here is the listing of their origin. So Ramganga is in Garhwal Hills near Garsen, Gomattal near Pilibhit, Gomti, Mapcha-Chungo Glacier, Ghagra, and in Nepal, Himalaya, Gandak. Kosi, north of Mount Everest, meets with Arun stream, sorrow of Bihar we also know. And Mahananda, it originates in the Darjeeling hills and joins Ganga as the last left-hand tributary, Mahananda. Right-hand tributary, the major is Yamuna and Son. We also listed Damodar, but Damodar is tributary of Hooghly, which is distributary of Ganga. Distributary of Ganga. So, Damodar is tributary of Hooghly, not directly Ganga, but a distributary of Ganga. So, Yamuna and Son are the major right bank tributary, which meets Ganga in Prayag and Ara in Bihar, respectively. Next news article is related to India's assessment of their trade and export to SAARC countries. Now, India is assessing what are the issues, especially related to pharmaceutical export to the SAARC country and Iran. So, important from the perspective of regional and global grouping. So, what is the issue? So, Foreign Trade Division of the Department of Commerce is collecting input on the sanitary and phytosanitary technical barriers to the trade and market access to the SAARC countries and Iran. It is also assessing that how West Asia conflict is impacting the India's prospect in exporting pharmaceuticals. As you can see, the pharmaceutical export to 8 SAARC countries are around $1.2 billion out of the total $30.47 billion of pharmaceutical export. So important from the perspective of prelims is the organization, that is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC. It was created in 1985 in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and headquarters in Kathmandu, Nepal. 8 countries are member, namely Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, and Maldives. So these are the countries which are members. Observer, you can see here Australia, China, European Union, Iran, Japan, Mauritius, Myanmar, South Korea, and USA. Official language is English. The main objective is to promote regional cooperation, economic growth, social progress, and cultural development. A major agreement, that is SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Agreement, is operational since 2006. A very big initiative like SAARC satellite, which was launched by India in 2017 for South Asian nations. Specialized bodies include South Asian University in Delhi, India, South Asian Regional Standard Organization in Dhaka, SAARC Development Fund in Bhutan, Thimphu, and SAARC Arbitration Council in Pakistan. These are the specialized body of SAARC. Another important news from the perspective of environment conservation and international organization is related to International Court of Justice Climate Opinion or advice. So what is the issue? The 1.5 degree Celsius target or capping of global warming that world is trying to achieve through UNFCCC framework. Now, ICJ says that in its climate opinion, it propounded that this is not a volunteer mechanism, voluntary mechanism. Rather, it is legally binding. Legally binding. So this is opinion of ICJ, which India has rejected, and India has abstained from a voting when UN General Assembly brought in resolution in support of this ICJ climate opinion. So this advisory opinion which was brought in 2025, and it says, as I have told you, that legally binding it is. India abstained, while 141 votes in favor, 8 were against it, and 28 abstained. And India said that draft undermines the sacrosanct architecture of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, and India says we will work in tandem with the UNFCCC framework and not ICJ opinion or advice. So because of the certain reason, because this resolution does not talk about the financial transfer, this resolution does not talk about the technological transfer, this resolution does not talk about the differentiated responsibility, which India always says that those who have contributed more or caused more should be paying more. So this resolution is silent upon this. That's why India abstained from this. So India also said that adoption does not create binding commitment. Our obligation arises only from outcome adopted under UNFCCC process. India was not in a position to vote in favor of this resolution, and that is why India abstained. What is ICJ, International Court of Justice, also termed as World Court, principal judicial organ of the United Nations? It was established in the year 1945 by the Charter of UN. Seat of the court is Peace Palace in Hague, Netherlands, and official language is French and English. It has majorly two functions: dispute settlement between two member states, so which they call contentious issues or cases. The second is request to if it can accept request to issue an advisory opinion on legal question referred to it by UN body or a specialized agency, and this opinion is of this type, the second type. Now the contentious cases, its judgment are final and binding on the parties, and there is no recourse of appeal to this judgment, while advisory opinions are not binding, what India is saying. ICJ has 15 judges which come from different countries. They are elected for 9-year terms by majority of votes in the UN General Assembly and Security Council. 1/3 are elected every 3 years. An interesting thing, if there is an state party for which a case is being heard before ICJ, and that state party is not having any judge of its nationality on the bench, they can appoint a person to sit as judge ad hoc in the specific cases. So it allows in certain cases. The last news article is related to the IMD warning of the heat wave, again related to the climate change. And as Uttar Pradesh, Banda district lies in the Bundelkhand region, has been again accorded the warmest place in India, touching the temperature of 47.6 degree Celsius. So IMD has released the heat wave and severe heat wave warning. And interestingly, apart from Uttar Pradesh, Himalayan states like Himachal, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir are also included. Other states include Haryana, Delhi, Punjab and Madhya Pradesh. According to IMD, there are two measures of heat wave. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. Qualitative is the persistent high temperature which creates a condition which could be fatal for the human life. So that is what is the qualitative measurement of heat wave, while quantitative is depend on the various criteria. So here are the criteria, like minimum temperature. So for plain it is 40 degree, for coastal area it is 37, hilly it is 30 degree highest temperature. So if it goes beyond that, heat wave is declared. Then departure from the normal, if normal maximum is 40 degree. So there are two category places where normal temperature is less than or equal to 40. For those places, any deviation of 4.5 to 6.4 degree. So let's say 35 is the average temperature. But now this normal is shifted. For 2 days consequently for 2 days this place is recording around 40 degree. So there is a deviation of more than 4.5 degree. So heat wave will be declared. And if it goes beyond 6.5 degree, severe heat wave is declared. Now a place where the normal maximum is more than 40. So a deviation of 4 to 5 degree is heat wave, and deviation of 6 degree or more is severe heat wave. Next is actual maximum temperature. If it goes beyond 45 degree, it is heat wave, and actual temperature if it goes beyond 47 degree, it is severe heat wave. For coastal region, departure 4.5 degree and maximum I have already told you 37 degree. And it should persist for at least 2. So there are different stations in a particular location. So 2 stations for at least 2 days, consecutive days. Then only heat wave or severe heat wave will be declared by the IMD. From your perspective, just remember the 3 data, 40, 37 and 30. That is plain, coastal and hilly region. And roughly remember 4.5 to 6.5 variation. And that will be sufficient for you to answer questions in prelims or in mains to quote the data. That's all for today's session. Stay tuned for more such updates. Thank you.